Welcome back to Broncos Beat. Alexis Perry here, joined by Solomon Wilcots, Cecil, Lammey, and James Palmer. Guys, Jerry Jeudy stole the show last week after his 5-drop day against the LA Chargers. So one of the biggest questions heading into the season finale was simply, how will Jerry Jeudy respond? Well, he responded all right. 5 catches on 7 targets for 140 yards, 92 of those yards coming midway through the fourth quarter. 3rd and 10 from Denver's own 8-yard line. It marked the longest reception of any NFL player this season and the longest touchdown for the Denver Broncos since Eddie Royal's 93-yarder back in 2008. So they said it could be a career-defining game for Jerry Jeudy. So what did that one play signify about the kind of career Jerry Jeudy is capable of having?
It signifies he's not a bust. I can't believe I have to say that, but there were plenty of people in Broncos country saying he's a bust after last week's game, and the drops are such a big problem. Entering last week's game, his drop rate was 84th in the league, tied with Devontae Adams. It's not a problem. With as many targets as he's gotten, you expect him to drop some passes. Not as many as he did against the Chargers. And then to bounce back this week, even double clutching the one, like making sure that he gathers that thing in, you saw that big playability, that superstar upside. Some receivers come into the league like Justin Jefferson, and they can star and shine from day one. Others take a couple, 3 years. Look at a Marvin Harrison, a Herman Moore, if I'm going back in the day. Like, you take some time to get going in the NFL before you're really on that star or superstar path. That's what Jerry Jeudy can be. And I love seeing that, love seeing the patience from Drew Lock on that throw to go through the progressions and wait for Jeudy to hit that honey hole. He did, took it to the house. Fantastic play.
I know a couple of things about receivers. I don't know a lot. You know who knows a lot about receivers? Cornerbacks. You know who had 10 interceptions this year? Xavier Howard down in Miami. He had 10 picks. He talked to Richard Sherman recently on a podcast and said, Jerry Jeudy put me in a blender on a slant. I've never seen a receiver turn me around on a slant before. If a veteran corner like that, who again had 10 picks this year, Solly, has that type of respect for a rookie wide receiver, I think we all should pump the brakes a little bit and on that bust word and how we're talking about Jerry Jeudy. We've talked before, he is open a lot, and he's going to catch a lot of balls in the NFL. But if you have the respect of cornerbacks, and they were even trying to mimic Jerry Jeudy's route the next day in practice, corners and receivers down in Miami, trying to figure out how he did it, I think he's going to have a pretty decent career.
Yeah, James. And by the way, that podcast that you heard Richard Sherman talking on, that's the PFF podcast with Chris Collinsworth and Richard Sherman, right? And you're right, though. Everyone just raves at his ability to win at the top of his routes. He snaps off the top of that route, creates separation from the defender, and he can get open with the best of them. And when we kind of compare him to other, say, rookie receivers, like a Justin Jefferson, who's having a phenomenal season with the Minnesota Vikings, look at the system that he sort of, came into. Veteran quarterback, veteran offensive linemen and coaches, and the players around him it's a veteran group and a veteran system. Jerry Jeudy landed in a system with a lot of other young players. Everyone's trying to field their way, just like he's trying to field his way as well. We always say in the National Football League, it's not the bad day at the office that defines you. It's how you deal with having that bad day. How are you able to bounce back? And I think what you saw in this game yesterday against the Raiders, I think you saw that this guy's a champion, that he's prideful enough to say, I'm getting it fixed because I don't want to live with this throughout the entire offseason, having people talk about me dropping balls. And so he came out, and you could tell he had a concerted effort to put this whole thing behind him and be able to answer every question anyone would ever have about Jerry Jeudy's ability.
Cecil, you mentioned that Drew Lock patiently waited for that play to develop, and that really wasn't the only time that Drew impressed us on Sunday. Lock's final stat line looked like this: 25 completions for 339 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and a QB rating just north of 103. So, guys, did Drew meet your expectations for him in the season finale, or dare I say, did he exceed them?
Well, he certainly finished the way he should. And Solly mentioned it earlier, like he managed the game well. That's what we need to see. I don't need to see Drew Lock play hero ball. That doesn't work. It's low percentage throws when you're throwing on the run and you're trying to attack and throw into triple coverage down the field because you really want to make a play in the first quarter. Don't play hero ball. Be a game manager. Take your shots when they are there. And that's exactly what he did on that Jeudy play. So I like what Solly said. He managed the game well. Yeah, he did. And that's exactly what he needs to do. We know the young kid wants to make that play, right? He wants to be aggressive.
Yep.
Cool. Calm down, play within the offense, manage the game. And he did that.
I think for young players, we talked about in the beginning of this show, Alexis, the importance of going into the offseason with a good taste in your mouth. They lost this game, but Jerry Jeudy definitely got that bad taste last week out of his mouth heading into this season. I think Drew Lock, with 11 straight games with a turnover, gets that taste out of his mouth as well. I do want to see him play better in the red zone, guys. They need to find some ways to be more successful down there, especially when you have a tight end like Noah Fant, who I think was a real bright spot, taking another step in his second season. I like the way Drew managed the game. I like the way that he protected the football. I think that's a big aspect of it. What he's going to need going into this offseason is consistency. Solly, he hasn't had it in his entire really football career after high school. Getting some consistency and now getting an offseason with the same staff to work and improve, and with guys like Jerry Jeudy, I think this is a step in the right direction for him in an offseason that he said after the game is going to be unlike anyone he's ever had before.
Yeah, I think the Broncos have to do two things, right? They've got to continue to improve the environment around Drew Lock, right? Get the talent around him, the offensive line in terms of protection, the receivers, and everything around him. They need to make it better and be more consistent around him, even within the system. And then I think the next level is for him to become more consistent. If you just look at his overall passer rating, right around 75.4, that's just a tad bit better than Dwayne Haskins. You look at his completion percentage at 57%, just a little bit behind Carson Wentz. You don't want to be in that area when you talk about competing as a starting quarterback in the National Football League. I think we had him graded as the 35th highest graded quarterback among 32 NFL starters. So you could see the consistency is going to make him better. And I think Cecil's dead on. No more hero ball. Manage the game. Pick your spots. There are going to be moments where the team is going to need you to be the hero. But not in the first quarter, not in the very first possession where you're putting the ball in harm's way and putting the opponent on a short field. So he's got to do a better job of managing his game and just really picking his spots. And I think you'll see all these numbers in the rankings. I think you'll see them all go north.